Hello everybody. In this screencast we're going to look at how to extend the array adapter. Why would you need to extend the array adapter? Because all the layouts that we looked at right now are very simple. It just has one text view. What if you would like to create rows, list view row items that are more sophisticated, that have more than one component, they have an image, they have other components. So basically, to be able to do that, we have to extend the array adapter, create our own layout, and understand how to populate the data inside each one of these rows. To start with, let's say, for example, we create a new layout. Okay, I'll go in here in the resources, and I'll create, for example, a user row item layout, and it will have a constraint layout. So click OK, and that becomes the user layout. And let's say, for example, I'll add two text views. One of them is going to hold the name of the user, and the other one is going to hold, let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's make it, say, for example, SP 16 SP, and then make it a little make it bold. And I'll give it some constraints to the top, right, left, and I'll call it, for example, text view. This is going to be the name of the user. Okay. And then similarly, I'm going to add the age of the user under that. So here it is. Okay, and let's give it a little bit of a margin. Okay, I'm going to call this one the age of the user. Okay, cool. So then we just set up these constraints. Okay, so here we go. That's the name, and similarly that's the age. Now I'd like also to anchor this one to the bottom of the screen. Here it is. And you can see that this is a row. I need to set up the constraint layout, the actual constraint layout, its height to wrap content. And then this looks more like a row. You see here the constraint layout. This is the row item. It's going to have the name of the person and then the age of the person under it. Okay. All right. So I created my row item, right? So now I would like to inflate this row item and actually display it. Instead of just showing the name of the person here, I'd like to display the name, and under it is the age of the person. Okay, so how do we do that? We need to extend that adapter. So let's create a new class. We'll, for example, call it the user adapter. Okay, here's the user adapter. And basically we'll say that user extends array adapter, and it is of type user. All right, here it is. So then this is how you extend the array adapter. And now it's not happy because usually it needs a constructor or needs some methods that you have to implement. And here it is, create the constructor. Now there are a lot of constructors for the array adapter, and the one we are going to pick is this one. This one requires a context, requires a resource ID. The resource ID is the layout resource ID to inflate for each row, and then the list of objects, which are going to be the users. So click here. Basically you're going to receive a list of users. This is the objects. And then the resource is the ID of the layout, and then the context is the context. And you could see it's calling super because it needs to update the adapter. Okay, create that adapter. Okay, so that's one. So that's very simple how you extend the adapter. Now the most important method in the array adapter that you need to extend to tell it how to create these rows is a method called GetView. Okay, here's the method called GetView. Press enter. Basically, you could see that the method that's called getView, it receives the position that you would like to get the view for. So basically, you tell it, okay, I want the view for row 0 or the position 0. And you could see it returns a view. That view, you see, it returns a view. That view is the layout that you would like to display. So what you would like to display in position 0, right? So now, another thing to pay attention to is that that layout is this, right? Is this layout that we just created, right? So basically we need to create or inflate, change it from an XML form and inflate it into a view, because you see we are going to return a view here, right? We are going to return a view. And to do that, in order to do that, we will need something called an inflator. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we need to create that view using an inflator. Okay, and I will show you how and so on in a little bit. But also, let's keep in mind that when you actually do the getView gets called, you are getting something called a convert view. A convert view are previous rows that were used in the past, and the adapter maintains these views that were displayed in the past for this table view or this list view, and it maintains them in a pool of old views that were used. And how do you have all the views is that because it's a scrollable list, as you scroll up, the views that are not in view, they fall into the pool of unused views because they are not used, they are not visible. And then what happens is that as you scroll up, there are views that are going to disappear, not appear from the screen. And then from the bottom, there will be views that are going to appear. So these are views that could recycle the views that were used in the past, because at the end of the day, they are layouts that you are displaying. So if there are views in the pool, you will get a convert view. A convert view is one of these old views. So basically what we could do is you could check to see if the convert view is not equal to null, is equal to null. This means that you don't have a view, right? That you need to create your own. Else you have a view, right? So basically if it's equal to null, this means that you are not provided a view from the pool. Right? There are no views in the pool. But if there are previously used or trashed views that you could reuse, and why is this a common practice in Android, in iOS, this idea of a pool of previously used views? Because you'd really want to minimize the memory usage. Let's assume that you want to display a list of your emails, and let's say you have 1,000 emails. Why would I create 1,000 rows or views if the user is only seeing, say, 20 views on any time in the screen, on the screen? So basically, this pool of views limits or caps the memory usage of the list view. Okay, so now the convert view. So if it's equal to null, I need to create one for myself. So I'll say convert view equals, and this is boilerplate code. There is a layout inflator dot, and you could say, for example, from. Okay, so that's basically you need to get a layout inflator from, and you say get context to get the context. You see here you're passing the context, so there's a method to get you the context, right? So basically that's one, and then this gets you the inflator, then dot inflate, and then basically you just give it the resource that you would like to inflate, and I will use this one. Okay, so basically the resource I'm going to inflate is r.layout.user item, right? And who is and then it needs, that's one, right? And then it needs the parent, which is this, and false. I'm not going to attach it to the parent. Basically, that's boilerplate code. We are not going to change this. Basically, all what we're doing is that this gets you the inflator, and this is how you inflate. You give it the layout, the parent, and we don't want to attach it to the root of or to the parent. Okay, so that's you got your convert view. Now I need to get the data that I'm going to display. So I'll get the user that I'd like to display, right? Equals get item at position. So basically you could see here that you are provided the position of the item that you'd like to display, and basically what you will return is the convert view. All right, here it is. So now if you look at the convert view, we know that this view has two text views, 1 and 2, right? One of them is called text view name, and the other one is called text view age, right? Okay, so basically I know there will be two text views, text view name, right? Equals, it's the convert view dot find view by id, r.id dot text view name. So that's your text view name. And then similarly you have this text view name, and you have the other one is text view age. Same scenario. It's a text view age equals convert view dot find view by id, r.id dot text view age. So basically you have the name and the age. We retrieved the text view for the name and the text view for the age, and all what I will do is I will say text view name dot set text, and I will just say user dot name. Here it is, that's the name, and text view age dot set text, and I will say, for example, years old, and then basically I'm going to say user dot age. Okay, so basically that's going to be the age of the user and the name of the user. Perfect. So that's straightforward. All what we did is just recap a little bit. The get view receives a position and a convert view, and basically we check to see if the convert view is null. If it's null, then we have to inflate one from the layout, right? And this is how we inflate it, and this is our layout. Once we inflate it, we have the convert view, right? Now we retrieve the user that we would like to display by just using get item, right? And that's a method, an adapter method, an array adapter method. Get item, and you pass it the position, and it gets you the user, right? And then here we traverse the layout that we just inflated to find items by ID. So we got the two text views, text view for the name and the text view for the age. And then basically we just set the properties of that the text views, or set the text for the text views to match whatever the values are for the user. And then we return the convert view. That's the view that is prepared. It already has the data that needs to be displayed. Okay, very nice. So now let's go back again here, and we want to change things a little bit. So we create an array adapter, right? And now we want to create our own array adapter, and that array adapter is not of type array adapter, right? It's of type user adapter, right? So basically that's the user adapter. So basically I'm going to go here and I'm just going to make it user adapter, and you don't need to specify any parameterization because we already told it that it's going to be a user adapter. See here, it's of type user, right? Okay. So now I'll update the adapter definition to be a user adapter. Now, how I initialize that adapter is a little bit different now, right? So basically I'm going to say it's a new user adapter, okay? And and then if you look at the user adapter, it requires the context, which is this, and requires the resource r dot layout dot user item, and then it needs the objects, which are the users, right? Here it is. And then basically the same story. So we created our own adapter here, right? And I'm going to remove this code. We don't need all of that stuff. This wasn't the example. But anyhow, so you could see that now it becomes the user adapter, and the user adapter requires these parameters to initialize. And then you set the adapter, and then this is the on-click list. All right, so we run this. And you will see now that you see the layout now looks a little bit different, right? We can play a little bit with the padding so that at least we could get a little bit of padding to show it. Will show it a little bit better. So let's say we do a padding here. Let's give it a 5 dp padding to push things in a little bit. So we run it. Here it is. So you have the user, and then under it is the age of the user, right? You can also change the yeah, you can do a lot of things. So let's make it 4 dp instead. We'll run it again, and you could see make it a little bit closer and so on. So basically you could see that we have customized it. You know, we can add anything we want here in that layout, and it will appear up here. Okay, so now you have seen how to easily manage the organization of extending the array adapter. And in the next screencast, we look at how we can optimize the implementation of the array adapter using a holder pattern. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.